All right, everyone. Clinton is synonymous with, a sexual depravity of various kinds. You have Bubba Bill, and you have Anthony Weiner, and supposedly maybe Hillary and Huma, if tales are true. You get all sorts of weird stuff, and it's become a problem for them because their brand before in the 90s when things were going well was basically, oh, things are fine, tech, the internet's becoming all sorts of popular, Taco Bell, go eat your fucking chalupa, everything's great, Soviet Union falls, hunky-dory. Now the world is a little bit more difficult a place to live in. You see the problems that were laid forth, basically in the 50s and 60s, that kept getting worse and worse, have gotten steadily worse as well since the Clinton era. Now, if you look back, you'll see that Hillary Clinton doesn't really have any hard set beliefs. Like, she was against gay marriage on a deep religious basis. She opposed it in the early 2000s when she was running for the U.S. Senate, because it was politically expedient. She would have lost if she had said what she really means, which is, I don't fucking care what people do, just give me more of your money and I'm going to embezzle it and kill people. That's the Clinton MO. And now all of a sudden she wants to be like, oh, I was a gay crusader. I did such a wonderful thing. Obama did the same shit. He's like, oh, fly the rainbow flag on the White House lawn. It's like, what the fuck did you do for that movement? You didn't do anything. You were against gay marriage too when you were a senator. You only jumped aboard. You were a Johnny-come-lately who jumped aboard in order to take credit for work that other people started back in the 70s and 80s, you idiot. You were barely an afterthought at the time. Wasn't he still like bumbling around in Hawaii at the time, just eating a fucking pineapple and leading protest chants? And Hillary Clinton at the time was too busy defrauding people and watching her husband sleep around. So yeah, it's really dumb. So I'm not surprised. I wasn't surprised when I saw that someone who's linked to Correct the Record and to the Clinton campaign, he was her spiritual advisor, actually, during the 2008 campaign. I wasn't surprised to see that apparently Hillary Clinton had some strings pulled to shield him from the repercussions of claims against him by one of his employees, that he was like rubbing her shoulder, sending her explicit emails and stuff. So he was harassing her. He's not a rapist or anything. He's in that upper level of hell when it comes to the sex abuse panic of our era. He's on the uppermost level. It's survivable, actually. But he was doing that, provably so. It seems like it's more than an allegation. Clinton then said, okay, well, we're going to take the employee and move her to another place, not him, and shielded him. See, this is the problem. Here's the big problem for the Democratic Party today is it's soul-searching. Because you have two specific groups that are at each other's throats. You have the neoliberals. They make a lot of money, and they're old hands at politicking, so they're the ones that already have positions there at Congress and stuff. They're the money makers. They're the ones that are entrenched. But they're not charismatic, they're aging, and the youth hates them. Then you've got the younger, like the upstart progressive movements. Far less or no baggage for most of these people. They don't really have any baggage because they haven't been around long enough to have it. But at the same time, they can't raise money as easily. It's all grassroots. They can't get the corporate cash. The Democrats are terrified the Republicans will start getting it again. Because they just barely managed to start winning them over in the post-Romney era, with Obama being coherent, at least speaking as he was. And these younger individuals, again, while charismatic, they can't raise the same money. They don't have political power at this time. The Democratic Party, then, in order to survive 2020, the midterms is a different story because it takes place, of course, on the state level. In 2020, the Democrats have to find the perfectly modeled candidate who can get both the corporate neoliberals and the upstart progressives to vote for them at high levels. Otherwise, they lose. It's probably impossible for them to find such a person. That's why they keep throwing all sorts of names at the wall and hoping they stick. They're hoping to see it's A/B testing like Trump does. They're hoping to see what the public's response will be among both the center and the left. They know that they can't appease the right. They're already entrenched under Trump, so they have to go for the centrists. That's an additional problem because a lot of those people they have to go for are money voters that have already flocked to Trump in the wake of his tax plan and saying, hey, Obama ignored flyover country and small town America. It's going to be very difficult for the Democrats. But can we just sit here for a moment and appreciate how funny it is that Clinton's husband and the husband of her main aide, and everyone, half of her super donors, they all seem to be embroiled in these allegations. And then even her spiritual advisor, apparently, and this was, 10 years ago, had the same problem. This is in her 2008 campaign. Nobody ever did anything about it. This dude was feeding her pieces of scripture, sort of doing the faith outreach, talk to a pastor for her, arrange a meeting with some cardinals, or with the Pope, something along those lines, and then give her, helpful little quips about spirituality. Do spiritual and Hillary Clinton go together in the same sentence unless it's, hey, Hillary Clinton is not spiritual? She's not a spiritual person. She can't possibly believe in a higher power and act the way that she does. For her, there can be no higher power. No power can be higher than Hillary Clinton and Hillary Clinton's life. It's as simple as that. That's why she couldn't believe in organized religion the way the average Christian would. And her lack of apparent introspection and self-control is why she can't be an occultist. People that are worried that a bunch of pagan occultists run the world, trust me, most of these people, they don't have the patience and self-control to practice any form of authentic magic. If they're doing magic at all, it's a mock-up, and some idiot charlatan is feeding them fake rituals in order to get rich by selling them magic rope or a fucking black candle. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. But it's all bullshit. When you have these cases, it's extra funny. Because Hillary Clinton's last campaign, her second time around, the it's her turn time in the wake of Obama schlonging her, what was it prefaced on? Oh, break the glass ceiling, me too, #resist, I'm a woman, hear me roar, I will bomb so many countries that you'll call me the great whore. That's what Hillary Clinton campaigns on. And then it turns out that she's doing this shit years ago. It's and she hasn't changed. It's just it's the same thing with Bill Clinton and his accusers. What did she do? She went forth and she stood behind her man, which is, I guess in a weird way, maybe kind of to her credit in a weird Clintonian sort of 90s fashion. In some ways, a gross way, but she totally lays waste to them. And then, of course, little Vince shoots himself several times, and all of a sudden, people, they go a little bit silent. They don't want to talk about these things as much anymore. I wonder why that happened. Yeah, the Clintons don't have spiritual beliefs that don't involve the Clintons getting their way. They believe they are basically gods on Earth, I suppose, in a weird temporal manner. And it turns out even her faith advisor, supposedly a staunch religious individual, was doing weird shit. It's not a surprise to me. Maybe it's a surprise to some of Hillary Clinton's female fans. Look, how many times does Hillary Clinton have to be directly involved with apparent perverts or the suppression of other women's voices before her #resist female fans realize that she's just crazy? That she's an opportunist that used them like pawns? How many more times does this have to happen before her legacy is totally discredited? And aren't you glad that she didn't win? Look, that would have been a great first female president, one that will shield apparently people who are perverted in her own White House and not do anything about it as long as they're working for her. Wouldn't that have been lovely to have the first female president very likely caught up in a scandal like this? Wouldn't you have liked her to have won and then this comes out anyway at this point? Oh, Clinton's first year in office capped off by, claims that her last time around, her faith advisor was groping somebody up. That would have been quite a story. Yeah, I would have been definitely something I would have had to have made a video about. I think even the legacy media right now is reporting on this shit. They've finally had enough of Clinton's whining, and so they said, okay, shut up. And now anytime something comes out about her, they're actually willing to report on it. Look, they shielded her all through the campaign from every bad bit of news and said it was all a conspiracy. And they're still saying that about the FISA memo. I'll be talking about that in a minute. But now finally they can't shield her anymore. She's got so much baggage that her would-be ship of state already sunk. She's a castaway, and they're just sitting there on a different ship leering at her at this point. They're not happy with Trump, but they're also not happy with the fact that because of people like Clinton, you can get a Trump second term, and you probably will. That's about all. Peace out.